Hi guys, Happy New Year. It's been a while since I've made a video, but I have been privately coaching some clients through trauma and how to sort of get out of a narcissistically abusive relationships. So I am doing a video because I've had a lot of requests for this one. And this is, how does narcissism affect health? And I'm going to try to keep this to 10 minutes, so it's not going to be comprehensive, but I'm just going to touch on a few things. So one, obviously, if you are the victim of narcissistic abuse, you are living in a relationship with somebody who is gaslighting you, and you're basically living a lie, or it's not your lie, it's their lie, but that takes its toll on your mental health, because if you are, playing detective, you're with somebody that you can't trust, there's something not right in the relationship, even if you believe that you can trust them. Like in my case, you might be with a covert narcissist that you actually believe that they're telling the truth. You think that you can trust them. Your intuition and your body is, telling you another story. So you have this incredible cognitive dissonance. You know something, you feel that something is wrong, but they're telling you everything's fine. So you have this disconnect and these issues around that. So obviously that can cause stress. If you're with an overt narcissist that is doing, sort of physically or verbally abusive, cutting you down, or a covert narcissist that's using very subtle forms of manipulation, it definitely takes its toll on your health in terms of your self-esteem, your self-worth. You're in these relationships and you never feel like you're quite good enough. So you're constantly trying to, prove yourself to be, good enough for them, right? So these all can take a toll on your health. But what I also wanted to shift to is what happens, how does narcissism affect the narcissist's health? And that is something that is now recently being explored. And there's some researchers out there who are exploring this exact topic. And in general, think of it this way. So when you're a narcissist, you're sending a mask, right? You're sending this fake person, this mask of perfection to the world. That is horribly stressful because no human being is perfect, right? And if you have to pretend to be perfect all the time, it takes a great deal of mental energy and, all sorts of energy to, perform all the time. It's like as if you're on stage like 24/7. That is exhausting. And because narcissists are so dishonest, they have secret lives, they're very sneaky, they're very secretive. They constantly have to go about their lives, acting in this very sneaky, secretive fashion. They tell lies, they have to try to keep track of their lies. I mean, that is mentally exhausting. When you're just sending yourself, you're not sending a representative, you don't have to keep track of your lies and your BS, and you don't have to do all these, crazy things to sort of, keep track of yourself. You just send yourself, you're okay with yourself, you realize you're not perfect, it's okay, and you don't have all of that stress of, sending a representative to all of your interactions. So that in and of itself is very stressful. Narcissists often are famous for appearing to be composed and perfect, but internally they have this, they're acting out like internally it's like constant, they're almost like in a state of constant trauma, right? They have fear, they don't trust people, they're paranoid. So you're walking around putting on this pretty mask. Internally you have all of this trauma. Again, that disconnect is very difficult for human beings. And then they also isolate. So they isolate themselves so much because they're such pathological liars. They don't tell the truth. They don't talk about their feelings. Typically, they're not honest about their feelings. So they isolate themselves from people, and they don't have a true support network. So one of my greatest strengths that I found in my life, in the context of my 12-step recovery program, is that I have this incredible support group of friends and family, and very specifically some few people that I'm able to be very honest and authentic and true true with. I mean, I'm like that with most people. I just try to send myself. I don't have to pretend to be anything I'm not, because I've learned to appreciate myself for who I am, and I try to do decent things so that if you want good self-esteem, do esteemable things. I try to do that. So, but when things are difficult in my life, I have an incredible support group of people around me that I can talk to and be authentic with and tell them the truth of what's going on with me. And I can say, hey, this is what's going on in my head. Is this, can you give me some suggestions here? Maybe some advice. Did you go through something similar? How did you handle it? And so I have this incredible resource. Well, narcissists, because they're like an island, they don't trust anyone. They're totally duplicitous themselves. So they think everyone else is like they are. So because they're so deceptive and not trusting and paranoid, they don't have anyone that they can tell their truth to, that they can be authentic with, that they can be honest with and work through their problems. So again, they're lacking, typically they're lacking a really deeply connected support group. I mean, they may have shallow friendships, but all their relationships are quite surface. So they typically do not work through these issues, and that is very difficult, again, on their health. Narcissists typically do not go to therapy. Because they do not go to therapy, they do not get advice from therapists, they do not get proper therapeutic help. They think there's nothing wrong with them, so they won't seek out mental health professionals that can help them. So again, another sort of toll on their health. Also, I was reading a bit about some research that's coming out about how narcissists are, they're constantly thinking that their perception of the world is that everyone is out to get them. They're not safe. They need to send a mass because everyone's bad. So they have this sort of cognition, and that is because that's like driving, they're very fear driven internally. They appear to have no fears, but internally they're actually very fear driven. So that is increasing the cortisol in their body, which is the stress hormone. So they typically, they have higher levels of stress. And there's some research out there that is saying that highly narcissistic people have a higher proclivity for heart disease. Cortisol and surges in your body can affect your long-term heart health. So, there's some very interesting articles out there on them. I may put some links on my page to some of the latest research that is coming out. So, their isolation, their, inability to trust people, they're living in a constant state of trauma and fear and insecurity, even though they present this mask to the world of perfection and security and stability. It's a mask. Underneath it, it's a total dichotomy. So internally, these people are incredibly unhappy. And then also they're, burning all of their relationships. They typically leave, their relationships with their children, their stepchildren, their spouses, their ex-partners, and, tatters. So they don't have good, healthy relationships. And that, even though they lack remorse and empathy, that still is going to take a toll on your mental health when you have all this wreckage around you, because a part of them knows that there's something wrong here, right? So, all of these factors really are not, beneficial for a narcissist's long-term health. So typically these people do tend to they start having like health problems. They're very isolated. They can be very lonely individuals. I mean, these are the people that, honestly, these are the people that die alone. And it's really actually quite sad if you think about it, because, the connection and human companionship and having people around you that love you and care for you in old age is vital to your health. So, really there's a lot of negative, benefits on your actual health if you are a narcissist. And some of those may not start to show up until, later in life. But I'm going to also do a bit more research because there's some really fascinating stuff coming out about this. So this is just sort of a really intro video to this, but I'm going to do a little bit more research, and I'll probably make some more videos on how narcissism can affect the health of the narcissist. And then also I'll do a few more videos videos on how it affects the victims of narcissistic abuse. So I hope you guys are having a really happy new year. I certainly am. I'm starting to really thrive, and I will try to keep posting these, probably not as often. Obviously, I had a big break, but that was actually a good sign of healing. So hope you're all well out there, and happy new year. Bye-bye.